Welcome to the Red Raider Coaches Show. I'm your host, Joe Hayes, and I'm here with our head varsity football coach, Keith Goss. And Coach, welcome back to another episode of the Coaches Show.
Always good to be here.
Hey, before we get started, none of this would be possible without all of our sponsors, Coach, and we definitely want to get these guys some recognition. So with that being said, I want to say thank you to the Bacon County Hospital and Health System, fine establishment, fine group of people there. I know they've helped me numerous times with all my injured kids with all the sports that we participate in, and we've had quite a few frequent visits to Bacon County Hospital, but every single time that we went there, it's just been a pleasant experience of what they have done for me and my family. And this is just me speaking on, my personal behalf, but I know I've been up there for many other situations, whether it was a family member or somebody in the community, and we're just so thankful to have them part of our community, so thankful to have such a nice facility here in Bacon County, and also for them to help us because Coach, it goes a long ways in what we do for our program, the help that they give us and, support us with. We also want to thank Blueberry Plantation Inn and Country Club, Mr. Ted Murray. They have a fine establishment out there. Another thing that we're very, very fortunate to have here in Bacon County, just a beautiful golf course, beautiful inn. They host a lot of weddings there. We have our raffle, the big $10,000 raffle. They host that for us at their facility, and they have big golf tournaments, big groups come into town, and we also have our golf tournament for the football team out there. There's just so much that Blueberry Plantation Inn and Country Club does for our community, so much that it does for our program, and we definitely want to thank them. And please get by out there and support those guys and let them know how much we appreciate their support for Bacon County football. We also want to thank Industrial Forge, another company owned by Mr. Ted Murray. They're a specialty nut and bolt business, and a very unique company that we've got here in Bacon County, and they make a lot of nuts and bolts for nuclear reactors and electric engines and just all kind of things. The type of nuts and bolts that you just can't run to the hardware store and buy, that they specialize in those special bolts of any type of metal, any type of specification, hardness, and that thing. Just a very fascinating business, and a lot of employees out there, a lot of members of Bacon County that are employed out there, and we're just so thankful for all of them, their whole staff, just some of the best people. I'm deeply, deeply thankful for all their support and help to Bacon County football. So if you run into any of the Industrial Forge people, please let them know how much we appreciate their help. And last, we've got Parker Food Mart, family-owned business right here in Bacon County. Shell gas station, but Coach, you can also get numerous other things besides gas. They've got some wonderful pizza. My bunch, it's probably their favorite place to go get pizza, so we eat it at least once, if not twice a week. We're usually doing pizza nights.
Yeah, that's not too far from the house. We've run down to the little kitchen there and grabbed a meal from time to time.
Oh, absolutely. And during the day, you can stop in there and get a hamburger. They got fried pork chops. They got corn dogs. I love the corn dogs. That's one of my personal favorites. It seems like every time I go in, I got to get at least one corn dog, and maybe takes me back to my school days. I can remember the gas station across from my school where I grew up, and used to go in there and get a corn dog after school every day. But very good corn dogs. They have breakfast. You can get in there. Another thing that I love to stop in there, get me a bacon sandwich, and I mean, they'll about do anything that, you ask them to. If you want, bacon sandwich with mayonnaise and whatever, I mean, if you want it on white bread, if you want your bread toasted, I mean, they'll do anything to cater to you, and good friendly staff. You can get your fuel out there, diesel fuel, off-road diesel, gasoline, any grade. Just again, another very successful business, like I said, family owned right here in Bacon County, and we definitely want to support them because they give a lot of support to us. Absolutely. And we're so thankful for their business and what they do for us. And again, if anybody can get out and you get by there, let them know just how much we do appreciate their support for Bacon County football. Coach, we missed last week we had some scheduling conflict between some of us, and some were out of town, so we kind of had to put off talking about Metter. So I want to dive into that football game a little bit, and we'll break it down. So, there at the start, we come in, home game, players did their traditional walkthrough, which I like that we're continuing on throughout the year, and came in and we actually started out pretty good. I think we hung very well for them for I would say for 2 quarters. We really played well, I felt like.
Our guys, we're playing a lot of young guys, and they're learning how to play on Friday night. And Metter's a very talented team. I think they're sitting at 8-1, and I think in the first half, I think we played good football. They have a great defensive line, and that showed. It was hard, moving the ball on them. But our guys did a great job defensively, and I believe going into half, I think it was 14-6 their favor. And but we were playing pretty good football at that point, and the kids have been given great effort and competing. And with the number of young guys we're playing and what we're building, moving into the future, I'm not really satisfied with, moral victories and things like that, but it is a good thing. It is something that we're building, and we're learning how to compete, and our young guys are finding a way to compete and getting better week by week.
Yeah. Well, Coach, it's interesting throughout the season. I've kind of, we play Jeff Davis, and we look at them, and we watch their, execution and how they played against us, and we play Toombs, and and Toombs was pretty physical group of kids there, and I was like, okay, well maybe, Toombs is going to be in there in the hunt, and and thought maybe Jeff Davis is possibly going to be in there in the hunt, and then. We play Swainsboro, which I thought was going to be the number 1 in the region, and they may still end up being number 1 in the region. But when we went, I felt like we were gradually getting better. So it's kind of hard to measure up sometimes on some of those opponents as we're getting a little better, each week. But I felt like nothing against them and their program, but it felt like I expected more from Swainsboro, and I felt like we went in there and played pretty well. And then Metter, I didn't know where they would be on the radar. I just didn't foresee Metter being that 1, 2, 3 team. I thought that if they get in, they would probably be sliding in 4th. But when we played them, they were, to me, probably, since we played, I thought they executed their game plan pretty well. But we held toe-to-toe with them. But all in all, I felt like, hey, they may have contention to go in there and possibly get that 1 or 2 spot.
I think they're going to end up 1 or 2. And Swainsboro beat them in a really close one. I think the first week of region play. Right now, Metter may be playing the best football in the region. Yeah. Just from what you see on film and see, you see the different teams as they progress, and you're trading film and watching your next opponent. They're playing some really good football right now.
Well, offensively, Coach, we against Metter, we that first half we executed. We moved the ball some down the field there and got some things going. What did you guys take from that game? What did you see in what our boys were doing? You had a starting 11. Mm-hmm. They were young, and I think we got 4 freshmen that you're starting on offense there.
Yeah, on Friday night we have, I want to say at this point we have 3 or 4 starting on defense and 2 or 3 starting on offense. Okay. And then followed by a ton of sophomores. So the ones that ain't freshmen are sophomores.
Right.
And we're playing a lot of young guys, and we have a few juniors mixed in there. But when you only have 5 seniors on your team and not all of them are starting, a lot of young guys are playing.
Yeah. Well, on that offensive series there in both quarters, Coach, what did you guys take away from that game against Metter? What positives did you guys take away from there?
A feeling that we are getting good enough to be proficient and moving the ball in multiple ways. We're having success with some of our power read and some of our zone running game, and mixing in some counters off of it. So it's been some, we've gotten more than just one or two run plays to hang our hat on in the run game. And then in the passing game, really kind of had developed a little more with our tight end into our passing game in the last couple of weeks, and been getting some good plays out of that, and getting a lot of miles out of him, which has opened up some other things down the field. Well,
speaking of that and our quarterback too, Terrion, he I would say for me as a fan, the one big thing I noticed was he really played hard against Metter, and he had a pretty good game. As a matter of fact, he made a national highlight reel coming out of that game that picked up some national attention.
It did,
and
which is great.
It's
great. It's exciting for our program. For one of our guys to get that exposure at the national level. He's also been invited to play in the GACA All-Star game.
Oh, really?
So that there's a junior All-Star game, a rising for seniors for the following year. There's a sophomore, a junior, and a senior game, and he'll play in the junior GACA All-Star game in December.
Well, good for Terrion, and Raider Nation. That's exciting news to hear, and we're hearing it first right here being unveiled, and I'm just really excited for Terrion. I've seen him working hard week in and week out, and that's a position, Raider Nation, where a lot of players in the past have grew up being molded into that quarterback, and that and Terrion has stepped out of a position. He was playing the tight end or defensive end, and he had never played quarterback. So this is his first year of actually stepping into that position and into that role, and it's a big role to take on. And he is.
We've asked him to do a lot, and
yep.
he's an outstanding young man, and we've put a lot of pressure on him, and he's accepted it, and really been a leader for the team. And somebody the team can really rally behind.
Absolutely, and that game was just I was excited for him. I would say on the offensive side of the ball, that was a big thing for me. I was really proud of him, of how far he's come from that first game. And not everybody knows his situation. They see a quarterback back there and they expect the quarterback to do their job, but they don't understand that was his first day on the job.
It was.
And it really was. So. And it's not an easy position to just pick up in one day, or a week, or a month. It takes.
There's a lot of reads and a lot of schooling that goes into it. And when you ask a player, we have one play that's designed that, pre-snap he can either take a throw to this side, he can take a combination throw to three receivers on this side, or he can hand the ball off on a run play. And so he has to count the numbers across the field and the leverage of the defense to decide where to place the, place the ball and to go with it. So it's, it's a lot of learning. It's a lot of studying.
Yeah,
it's a big commitment, and he has really flourished and done a great job for us.
He has, and I felt like, to me, it showed in that game, and that's why I wanted to get him some recognition, because again, I was very proud of him, and he played hard. He gave it everything he had. He had a few mistakes, and some of the mistakes wasn't necessarily his fault. It was because somebody didn't pick up a block on the outside, and he took a sack, and and that's just all part of it. That's all part of of this whole building and growing process of what we're going through. The defensive side of the ball, Coach, in that first half, I thought defensively we played pretty well. And they played us physical.
There's no doubt. That's Metter's style of play. They're going to ground and pound and lean on you with their linemen, and they got some guys that do it. Number 3 is a big old back. I can tell you he's pretty good because I remember him 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, and
Yeah.
you know, that's after playing the last game, and that kid's a physical, strong runner, and is a dang good running back. So obviously we know they do a great job offensively with what they do, and I feel like our guys did a good job. We were giving up a lot of size, a lot of strength and maturity with some of their guys that were on the field. But I'm proud of the effort our defense gave.
Yeah. I know my son, when he come home, he mentioned, even on the first play, he was like, "Daddy, I knew exactly what they were going to run." He's like, "We studied it. I saw it. I knew it. I knew they were coming my way." And he said, I can't remember if one of the guys pulled or who pulled or what. And anyway, they had a lead block coming around, and plus that big back, and plus he's out here on the wide receiver. And he thought, "Oh my goodness," he's like, this is going to be tough. And they executed. Traditionally, Metter, to me, over the past 15 years, they've been a very physical defensive team.
Mm-hmm.
But this team, that I felt like there was a flip in that. They actually, I felt like, played pretty physical offensively, and they executed a little better offensively than they traditionally have in the past. Their old coach that was there, he played at Georgia Southern. He's a big defensive guy. He won all kind of awards there at Georgia Southern for Defensive Player of the Year, and
Right.
he just took that mindset of we were going to be the most physical defensive team, and
offensively, they had more of a spread philosophy where this is more of a downhill wing T power run, and that's going to be the way you play when you're playing wing T football offensively. And defensively, they did a great job as well. That front four
they did. They were legit.
They were probably the best front four as a group.
Yeah.
In the region.
But I just saw, I guess what I was trying to say, as much physical offensively from them as I felt like defensively, and they've always been a little heavy defensively and lower on the offensive side of things. But it was our boys hung in there well, and they took some beatings. I mean, they really took some beatings. And that back now, I mean, if you squared up with him and he lowered his shoulder, it was you was gonna pay.
Yeah.
To have to bring him down. I mean, he was very impressive, and again, I felt like our boys took a beating, and they kept on ticking, and they just hung in there. They hung tough, and they played hard.
And that's been the story. Our guys are getting physically tougher week by week. They're getting stronger in the weight room, and you know what? We didn't lose anybody to injury after that game.
That's right.
I recall. Our kids stuck their nose in there. They're going to continue to get bigger. They're going to continue to get stronger. And, right now, we're playing, I say it time and time again, so many young guys.
Yeah.
And that makes it tough now, but we'll definitely see the positives from it in years to come.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we'll take a real quick break, and we'll get a little recognition here for our sponsors. And Raider Nation, we'll be right back with you after this short break. Welcome back to the Red Raider Coaches Show. I'm your host, Joe Hayes, and I'm still here with our head varsity football coach, Keith Goss. Coach, this Friday night, Bryan County come into town, and Coach, it turned out to be a really exciting night. It was senior night. It was a very emotional night for me personally, with my son, being a senior. And I don't know that it didn't hit me until breakfast. And when I cooked breakfast, Friday morning, it kind of sunk in, and I was like, oh boy, this is my last breakfast for my son, home game, and it touched me in my soft spot, and and I got a little emotional there, but I'm just proud of him. I'm proud of all of our seniors that have stuck in there. I know this is not been the easiest for some of them,
Right.
going through change and what they've been used to for the past 3 years, and they've really stuck in here. They worked hard. Christian Gurley's another young man, one of the seniors that I'm so proud of. All of them, I'm so proud of all of them, not just any one of them, but I've watched these boys since flag football, and and this was their night. And not only was it their night, it was our senior cheerleaders and our senior band members, and I was glad to see all of them get recognition. I think the world of all those kids, just they've all been I felt like very successful children coming up, and what they've been for our school system and for our community, and what groups they all are with, and support in, whether it's FFA and it's Coach, I can't even think of all the groups, but they do so much. The kids nowadays, they're participating in competition cheerleading, and they also do FCLA, and they also do competitive gaming, or they may do softball, or they may do
There's a ton of
tennis,
things out
or
there.
they're so active within our school system, and I'm just proud of all our group of seniors, and proud of mine what they did, and glad that they could get some recognition. And for our senior boys, I talked to them at breakfast that morning and give them a little pep talk, and Heath Carver, he brought the message to them as well, and I felt like they come out and they rallied and brought home a win, and I was glad to see this win and this first win, come for them and all the team. But I know it meant a lot. They've stuck in there. They've worked hard, and it was just it was an exciting thing to see, Coach.
I'm definitely proud of all the guys, and for the seniors. I know change and transition has been tough. Some of the things that maybe have been allowed in the past, I didn't allow, and that caused some guys not to stay with us, and I know that was some of their friends, some guys they still hang out with today. So I know that this senior year has been tough for a lot of the guys, but I am proud of all of them doing the right thing and sticking with it, and really helping set the floor for what we're about to build here.
Absolutely.
And my 5 guys, they did a great job, and I was happy that their last game, in the Big Red Monster, ended up being a win for them.
Absolutely.
And so that's always an exciting and a great memory they'll have, and I'm happy they got it.
Well, Coach, it seemed like a lot of things came together, as I went out today in the community, went to church this morning, and people were, coming up. There was a lot of people in the community excited for a win, and a lot of people that were at the game. Some of the things they noticed was a lot of the execution on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. But I would say I heard more offensively. They talked about guys holding blocks and lead blocks coming out and actually making blocks, and
Right.
backs taking the right lines, and it seems like a lot of things kind of came together. It wasn't perfect,
Right.
but they executed well.
Week by week, the guys are understanding how to block down. If you look, a lot of people threw the ball and caught the ball in the front yard. Nobody got down in their stance unless you're my son, because I was an offensive lineman and ever worked on pass blocking in the front yard.
Yeah.
And nobody is lined up at receiver and learned how to stock block in the front yard. There's just very few people that have grown up with those experiences. Now, a lot of guys have been fortunate enough to play catch in the front yard with somebody, and but there's just skills that are so different and so tough to learn how to execute properly and do it time and time again in the game of football, that it's going to take a while to get it right.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're playing with a lot of young guys that are really doing those skills for the first time in a Friday night atmosphere underneath the lights. So there's a lot of growth. I mean, week by week, it hasn't shown up on the scoreboard every time, and I understand that. But when I'm breaking down the film and I'm watching with the coaches, and we grade it out, and we look at who's doing what. We've seen growth happen from week to week, and us start becoming more and more competitive team each week. Even as some of our last opponents before this week are Swainsboro and Metter, who are more than likely going to be 1 and 2 in our region, are two of the better games we played previous to Bryan County. And that's just, our young guys starting to grow up.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to build. And that's just what it is.
Yeah. Coach, big night, I felt like Guyton, he did really well. I don't know how many yards he had, but it had to be over 100.
I think he was like 106 on 6 touches for 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, so he had a big night. It was a very exciting night for him, and he had some big breakout runs there, which was exciting to watch, and gets everybody all fired up, too as well. And
I mean, he's a young guy that can run. We're going to be blessed to have him for 3 more years. Obviously, we've asked him to do a lot as a freshman. It's tough stepping in on a Friday night when you're 14 years old, but he's obviously a very talented young man. He works hard in the weight room, and he understands what we ask of him, and is very humble in the way he goes about working. I'm very proud of him because it's not always easy for a freshman to have the maturity to step on the field Friday night and do things the right way.
yeah,
Don't get me wrong, he's still a freshman. There's times you got to get on to him.
yep,
But I could say the same thing about some of our seniors too. There's times I got to get on
That's
to them
right.
too. But he's a good kid working hard, and I'm proud to see where his development goes in the off season. Hopefully we can get him 10, 15 pounds heavier, and he's just that much harder to tackle next year.
Coach, another one that kind of stood out to me on the offensive side of the ball, and I think has come a long ways in the past 2 games, was Batten. He had a really big night. I've been really impressed with what I've been seeing on the field as well, and I was really proud of him.
Well, Ty something just clicked in the last couple of weeks with him, and really it's what do you want to be and what do you want to do? And that's the conversation I've had with him. And I was like, if you want to be elite and you want to separate yourself, and God's given you a bunch of size, but that's not enough. What are you doing in the classroom? What are you doing when you're outside the school? What are you doing, in the weight room? What are you doing on the practice field? If you put all those things together, you're going to have opportunities beyond high school. At least I feel that way at this point.
Right.
For him to be a freshman and get down there and block people in the box when we put his hand down and run around and run the routes in the secondary and be able to come up with the catches and plays he does. We ask a lot of him to do that as a freshman, because when you're a tight end, you have to know everything in the run game. You have to know every route combination. It's not easy to play tight end. That's why a lot of people don't play with him. But he has accepted the challenge and made that his home.
Yeah.
Like some of the other freshmen, he's got some growing up to do. But I'm excited to see where he develops in the next 3 years.
Absolutely. Thought Terrion had another really, really good game. He stood out again. Was able to get him some touchdowns in there also. So another good performance on his part. And like I said, each week he's gotten better every single week after week after week. And the ones that really don't get a lot of attention, but and I say the best for last, was our O-line. I think I was this game the most proud of seeing how well that they
We're starting to move people a little more.
We are.
We're starting to get a little more push week by week. And those guys are getting stronger as the season goes along. Some of them barely benched 150 pounds at the beginning of the season, and now they're benching 200. The growth and development, a couple of those guys were, not squatting very much weight, and now they're squatting in the 300s. and really couldn't physically compete. And now they're getting to the point as they continue to learn how to drive people, as they continue to hit the sled, as they continue to work and develop, they're getting strong enough to compete. You're starting to see that with a little more line surge,
Yeah.
and a little more push, and our running back being able to press the hole before he bends back on his own.
It was just good to see some good, on pass block and giving Terrion time. And as a young quarterback, he needs a little extra time to make those decisions
Right.
and make those reads. And for them to buy that little bit of time this game, I think that was a big difference. And the same on run blocks. It showed opening those holes for Guyton to make those big runs that he was able to do. And they did really, really well. And I felt good about their performance. I know you guys broke it down. I'm sure there was a lot of things there that you found that we can make improvement on.
Right, absolutely.
And, we'll trans that into next week against Vidalia. Defensively, Coach, I thought defense manned up this game. To hold them to 3 points,
Right.
that was pretty big.
They had that first drive that lasted, I think, 8.5 minutes. And the defense, didn't, bent but didn't break. And unless I had the option to push them back another 5 yards or make it 4th down, I didn't think the kid could hit a 40-yard field goal. And to his credit, he got over the bar and he proved me wrong.
Yeah.
Which, good for that kid. Otherwise, if I pushed them back, maybe they get the first down, maybe they get close enough to get an easier shot. Maybe they don't get a chance to kick it. The defense did a great job. There was another time they got down close to the goal line, and CJ deflects the ball and then intercepts it. And just a great job of some other young guys that are, we've got some different spots, just really stepping up and
I think
making
we had
some
3 interceptions in that game. We had Music intercepted one.
Right.
And then CJ, and I can't remember who the other one was.
Might have just been 2.
2?
I believe so.
And, I know mine, he was super proud. He come home, he's like, Daddy, I think I had, 3 pass breakups, and he had 8 tackles, and, so he was very proud of his.
Yeah, well, he had an
defensive
interception,
stand.
it was just out of bounds.
That's right. So, but he was really excited on his own personal performance, and that tells me they're growing too. As young men, as he comes home and he's grading himself, good things are happening, Coach.
They
And
are.
it's when they start critiquing themselves and saying, I need to do this better, or I can do this better, and I want to see those better stats and those better grades posted on the walls that you guys post, and anybody in the school can walk by them, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
everybody sees everybody's grades, so if they want to.
There's nowhere to hide.
They want to stop by your office and look at the piece of paper right there.
It's up there.
It's up there. There's,
But we, our guys are starting to self-evaluate, and that's a part of growing.
yeah,
I mean, that's something I even do as a coach. What can I look at a game and, all right, I called this here, we did this here. What can I do better week by week? And I'll sit in the staff meeting and, did I put this guy in the best situation? We have one man that's playing both ways. Are we doing the right thing rotation-wise to keep him fresh, as fresh as we can, because the advantage we feel like we have with him snapping the ball
yeah,
offensively. Those are things that we look at, weekly. What can we do to make it better? And I think anybody that's trying to improve something and trying to better themselves, that's a healthy part of growth.
absolutely. Coach, one more thing, and I think the most standout thing for me against Bryan County, other than the team coming together and getting this win, bringing home the win, was our kicker. I think, to me, that's what put the biggest smile on my face. And Raider Nation, we have a kid that, like we said about Terrion, our quarterback. He had never played quarterback. We pulled him into that position. He stepped into a role that he's never played before. Well, our kicker,
Nicosi Batten has just been thrown in there as our kicker. And
last game against Metter, that was his first time.
first game. And, you know, he's another one of our freshmen that's on the field and playing before he should really have to. But he's not backing down from nothing.
Yeah, and he went 4 for 5.
Yeah, he went 4 for 5.
4 for 5 in your second game ever kicking.
That's right. And
I thought that was phenomenal.
And actually, the holder didn't get one down. He kicked one out of the holder's hands, which was pretty amazing. In 18 years, I hadn't seen that one before as a coach, but I can say I've seen it now.
Yep. So no excuse if you can tell the kid.
Kick it straight out of his hand.
Yes. But, you know, we talk and we joke about next man up, and we say, and some people are serious about that. You know, next man up, and you know, and the coaches are too. You know, we all got to rise to the occasion, and whether it's in life, we're put in that position, whether it's in our jobs, in the real world. This young man, I felt like, to me, again, it just put a smile on my face. He was next man up.
That's right, and he's worked and busted his tail to give our team, you know, the best chance to score on extra points.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, inside the 20, if we had to try a field goal, I would try one with him.
Yeah.
And hopefully when we get down there, we're scoring touchdowns. But if we're close enough and we can't punch it in, I'm not scared to kick one with him.
Yeah.
And, you know, his confidence is rising every week, and my confidence in him is doing the same.
Well, and I think the confidence is rising in everybody in the community, and that's what really even boosted me even higher today, Coach. I go to church, and you know, and I teach high school boys in Sunday school, and I got a kid sitting in my Sunday school class that we're sitting here talking about football before class starts, and he says that he's coming out and he's going to play football next year. And I got another young man that says, Coach, talk to him. You said you'd play him in a tennis match, and if you beat him in the tennis match, that if he'd come out and play for you.
Right.
And he said that he was gonna, you know, he likes what he's seeing.
Yeah.
And what got me so excited is he's a kid that actually like studies football, and I've talked to him I don't know how many times, and I'm like, you watch NFL and you watch college and you watch high school, and he understands the game so well, and he's got a lot of size to go behind his knowledge. So I'm like, come on out. And to hear him, you know, at this point, even talking about it just gets me excited.
Well, you know, you have standards and you have accountability in your program, and it's going to draw kids. Kids want structure.
Yes.
They want discipline. Even if they don't say it, they want it. They want to be a part of something done the right way. And that's starting to show, because for every, you know, and I hate to lose any kid out of the program, and there's a couple we've had to part ways with over the course of the season. And I lose sleep over it. I lose more sleep over a kid that I don't feel like I reached because we had to let him go out of the program than I do wins and losses, to be perfectly honest. I wish I could reach everybody, but it's not that way. But for every one kid we've lost, 2 more have come to me and told me they were going to play next year. And so hopefully some of those guys that we lost, they'll see the light and come back and try to get it right and do things right. And you know, we're going to welcome them back with open arms if they're willing to do things the right way. And hopefully we'll pick up some other kids that like what they see, and you know, we'll keep building this thing in the direction we want to go.
And I think that's important, Coach. You know, we all make decisions and we all make mistakes. And for you,
Absolutely.
do you give those guys another chance to come back next year and say, okay, I've learned from my mistakes. I want to put a step forward. You know,
Absolutely.
And I think they'll realize that.
That's part of life.
It is.
I don't know anybody in my life that I've ever met that's been perfect.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes, and you know, are you willing to learn from your mistakes and change? And if the answer is yes, then we want them back a part of the program, and we want young men making great decisions and doing the right thing. And if they can learn from their mistakes and come back and be a positive factor in our program, of course we want them back.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, let's wrap it up here. I know we've drug this one out a little long, doing 2 shows and trying to get all this and 2 shows into one. So, Vidalia, last game of the season here. You know, I kind of pegged Vidalia to be either that number 1 or number 2. At the beginning of the season, said it was going to be Vidalia or Swainsboro. But we've had a little rumble in the mix here, you know, within region play, and possibly could be a little shakeup going on.
You know, Vidalia's got a great program.
Yes.
They're always going to be competitive. They do things the right way. They've been doing it the right way for a long time. They have standards. I think a lot of Coach Homskus, I've known him for a long time. You know, they're going to have a quality program. So whether their athletic talent is up or down, they're always going to be very competitive.
Yes.
And, you know, they are not, you know, right now what I would consider an upcycle for them. Now, that being said, please don't confuse that with they're not a talented team. They are a very talented team. And their defensive lineman, number 50, is one of the best in our region, hands down. He makes plays left and right, and we will have to play well to block him.
Yeah.
He has definitely gotten a lot of attention of my coaching staff, you know, as we game plan.
Right.
But they, you know, they have challenges just like all of us do, and I think, you know, they're a little banged up in some spots, or were the last 2 weeks, and I think it's cost them in 2 games.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're like any other team. They have injuries, and they have, you know, they cycle up and down.
That's right. What can we, you know, expect from them? As you know, we've been watching Vidalia football. They've got the same coach, but just for people that haven't seen Vidalia play Bacon, you know, what can we expect from them offensively, Coach?
You know, they have wing T origins, but they're doing it more out of a spread look. And so they'll go a tight end wing with 2 receivers split and still run some of their buck sweep, their counter with their quarterback, traps, things of that nature. But they've transitioned a little more spread from their wing T roots. I know wing T is Coach Hopkins' you know, warm and fuzzy place, but I don't think that's what his team is built for this year. He's got some receivers that can go get the ball and some talented guys in space. And so, you know, to his credit, that's what he's done.
Well, that's what good coaches do.
That's what good coaches do.
They build their offense around their athletes, the talents that they have.
So, you know, like I said, I think the world of Coach, and so he's done a good job building his team around, you know, the talent he has there.
So our defense is really going to have to step up in this game.
There's no doubt. I mean, they're going to do a good job moving the ball, and we're going to have to do a good job of playing our assignments, doing what we're supposed to do to give us a chance to win.
Absolutely. On the defensive side of the ball, you know, traditionally, I go back to kids like Nate McBride that I've seen come through Vidalia, and golly, I've never seen a faster linebacker in my life.
He's a big, strong,
you know,
fast young man.
Vidalia has traditionally had a speed defense. You know, what do they look like on film for this year?
Vidalia is always going to have the ability to run. That's not going to change. You know, their base is a 4-4 cover 3, and they move really well. Like I said, the standout guy to me on their defense is their defensive lineman, number 50. He is a playmaker in every sense of the word. Very talented guy. Flips over and plays on their offensive line as well, and doesn't seem to slow them down very much on defense. So, you know, we got our hands full accounting for him, but we're game planning for that.
Yep.
And, you know, besides that, they're going to be very sound, very solid. You know, not going to let many things get behind them. They're going to try to keep it all in front of them. They may bend a little bit, but they don't break. You're going to have to earn it going down the field.
How was our boys coming into film review tonight, Coach, and going over that discussion to start, you know, preparation this week to prepare for Vidalia? You know, how was that coming off of a win versus what you've seen, you know,
I think
previously?
Our kids, you know, obviously are excited to come in and see some of the plays that were made and some of the scoring, because, you know, it was it's a pretty high scoring event compared to what we've had some other nights. So they were excited to come in and see that. The defensive guys were excited to come in and see their plays and stops. You know, they understand that, you know, Vidalia is a good team, and we have to prepare to do everything we can to try to find a way to get a win.
Yep. Well, Raider Nation, we are traveling to Vidalia this Friday, and this will be our last game of the season, so we would like to see a good turnout. Everybody travel over there, and there's a lot of good places to eat in Vidalia. You want to go over there, and it's hard for my bunch. Any town that's got a Chick-fil-A, it seems like we've got to go to Chick-fil-A for any town, but you know, they got the Shoney's there. That's one thing about Vidalia that I miss that Waycross had, or some other places, is going to Shoney's, and especially when they do that breakfast at night. They got the breakfast buffet, so that's another really exciting thing that I like to go eat.
And you got to go back-to-back days, I believe, correct?
That's right. So we've got the cheerleading
our
region
cheerleaders
place.
are going to fight for a region championship
That's
in Vidalia for the competition cheer team, I believe.
And being you brought them up, I'd like to give them a shout out.
Absolutely.
Congratulate them. Our competition cheerleaders went undefeated this season, which was just a really monumental feat, I felt like, for them, especially some of the competitions they went to and up north, where traditionally we've seen the strongest competition at the state level, and to go up there and win that too, they really brought it home this season, and those girls have done a phenomenal job, so I want to give them a shout out. But we do coach. We go Friday night, varsity football plays, and then some of us parents that have kids that play football and also cheer, we got to turn back around Saturday and drive over there for the region tournament for cheerleading as well. So we want to wish them the best of luck as well. And
do we know what time our girls are competing yet?
oh, that was a good question. I should know that, and I will probably get told that I should have been on that. So thank you for calling me out.
Nothing like being put on the spot.
That's right.
That's been my turn. I mean, you've had a chance all season.
There you go. But I don't even want to throw a time out there. It'd be so far off. So I will post that. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll post it on the football page for everybody to see, and I will get the correct time and make sure I get that put out there. So don't rely on me here on this show. So, but I will get you the correct information out there for on Facebook. But Coach, we appreciate you. Excited for your win. Congratulations to you and your staff and all the hard work you guys have put in. And I know it meant a lot to see, you know, all that finally come together. I'm super excited for the players, and just seeing them, that excitement post game in the locker room, and it just felt good. The community also in the stands, the people coming out of the stands, going in the community today. It's amazing what a win can do for our community as a whole, whether it's the boys, the coaching staff, our school, our community. It just resonates. And
well, everybody likes to see the hard work pay off, and,
Yep.
and you know, we do this for more than wins and losses.
We do.
But it is always great to be on the right side of the scoreboard at the end of the night, and you know, we were fortunate enough to finally do that this season.
Absolutely. Again, Coach, congratulations. Raider Nation, thank you guys. Thank you everybody that come out and supported us. And I want to say also congratulations to Vic Peacock on winning the smoker Friday night. His name got drawn, so Lucky Joker got that Lang smoker. So I'm going to see if I can't get invited over there for his first barbecue. So maybe I can get us both in on that one.
That'd be nice.
We got to say that's the deal, okay? You won the smoker, you got to invite me and the head coach over there to treat us for your first barbecue. But
I look forward to it.
Raider Nation, let's travel out in big form to Vidalia this week. Come out and support our Red Raiders for the last game of the season, and we'll see you all there.